Have you ever been hit by a bolt of lightning? You know, that perfect idea, the one that solves everything. The plot twist for your novel, that killer headline for your article, the hook for your next song. It feels so solid, so real, you could almost reach out and touch it. And then, poof, it's just gone. A little wisp of smoke, leaving you grasping at nothing with only that frustrating echo of a thought that you know was brilliant. It is one of the most maddening experiences for any creator. So today, we're going to dive into exactly why that happens based on an expert blueprint of our creative minds, and maybe more importantly, how to stop it from ever happening again.
Hello again, fellow creators. I am so glad you're here with me, because if you have ever felt that little pang of loss for a forgotten idea, that ache for a story that could have been, I want you to know you are in exactly the right place, and you are absolutely not alone in this.
It always happens in the most inconvenient places, doesn't it? Like in the shower, where the water just seems to wash it away. Or when you're driving, and you can't possibly write it down. Or, and this is the classic one, in that magical, hazy moment right before you fall asleep. You tell yourself, oh, this is it, this is the one, there is no way I'm going to forget this. And then, of course, the next morning, all you're left with is the ghost of a great idea. You remember that you had it, but not what it was. It's a universal creative heartbreak, and it's about time we understood why it actually happens.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with that all-too-familiar vanishing idea. Then we'll unlock the expert blueprint to really get the neuroscience behind it. We'll explore our 3 creative brain networks, see exactly why our ideas are so fragile, and then we'll dive deep into the practical skill of mastering idea capture. And finally, we'll look at how to make this a foundational skill that lasts forever. So let's get into it.
Okay, so this first part is all about validating that deep frustration. Because you're not imagining it, it's a real phenomenon. The best, most original thoughts, the ones that feel like they come from somewhere outside of ourselves, they often have the shortest lifespan. They just appear without any warning, fully formed and shimmering, and then can disappear just as quickly, before we've even had a chance to properly look at them, let alone write them down and give them a home on the page.
This quote from the expert blueprint just captures it perfectly. It's not that we're forgetful. It's that these inspirations are like these delicate little butterflies floating by. And if you're not ready with a net, they're gone, and they don't circle back. Each one is a unique, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This isn't about a lack of memory. It's about the very nature of inspiration itself. So the real question is why? Why are our best ideas so slippery?
And that brings us right to the heart of what we're talking about today, the expert blueprint. The reason your ideas vanish isn't some personal failing. It's not a flaw in your memory or lack of discipline. It's actually a feature of how your brain is designed. It's pure neuroscience. And just understanding the mechanics is the very first step toward working with your brain's natural creative rhythm, instead of constantly fighting against it.
Think about it this way. Your brain is an idea generation machine, not a long-term storage device for raw, unformed thoughts. It's built for making these rapid, surprising connections between things you already know. And that whole process is inherently messy and unstable. The expert blueprint shows us that this fleeting nature isn't a bug. It's a feature of a highly dynamic and creative mind. So let's take a look at the machinery inside.
All right, so let's meet the team. Inside your mind, there's this constant, hidden collaboration, or, sometimes a conflict, between 3 major brain networks. I want you to think of them as the key players in your own personal creative studio. You've got the dreamer, the director, and the gatekeeper. And understanding what each one does is the secret to finally making sense of your own creative process and learning how to manage it.
So first up we have the dreamer. This is the source, the wellspring of it all. Scientifically, it's called the default mode network. This network lights up when you are not focused on a specific task, when you're taking a walk, washing the dishes, or lying in bed. It's kind of like your brain's screensaver mode, and it's constantly rummaging through your memories and the books you've read and conversations you've had, just mashing them all together in new and unexpected ways. This is where a character's name suddenly pops into your head, or 2 totally unrelated plot points just click together. It's wild, chaotic, and completely unfiltered.
Next, meet the director, also known as your executive control network. Now, if the dreamer is all about chaos and new connections, the director is all about order and focus. This is the network you activate when you sit down to actually write, to edit, to structure your outline, or solve a tricky plot problem. It's logical, it's analytical, and it's critical. This is the part of your brain that checks your story's timeline for consistency or ruthlessly cuts a paragraph that just isn't working. It takes those wild ideas from the dreamer and asks, okay, but is this actually any good? How would this even work?
And finally, we have the crucial go-between, the gatekeeper. Think of this network as the bouncer at the door of your conscious mind. It's constantly scanning both your internal world, those thoughts bubbling up from the dreamer, and the external world. When your dreamer spits out a particularly interesting or unusual idea, it's the gatekeeper that flags it and goes, "Whoa, hold on, pay attention to this." Scientifically, this is the salience network, and it's basically the switchboard operator that helps you toggle your attention between that dreamy, creative state and that focused working state.
So now that we've met the players, the dreamer, the director, and the gatekeeper, we can finally understand why our best ideas are so incredibly fragile. It is all about the handover. It's in that brief, beautiful, and incredibly delicate dance between these three networks. It's a moment of pure potential that can be just shattered in an instant.
Okay, so here's how it breaks down. The dreamer generates the ideas, right? The director refines and executes them, and the gatekeeper has to spot the good ones and pass them along. The entire system relies on that transfer. So the big takeaway here is that creativity isn't some single act, but a delicate handoff between totally different mental states. Your brilliant idea exists only in that momentary connection between them.
And this, right here, this is the absolute core insight from the expert blueprint. That aha moment is not a solid thing. It's a fleeting moment of alignment, a fragile little interaction. The gatekeeper has to notice the thought from the dreamer, and then it has to successfully switch your full attention so the director can grab hold of it, examine it, and decide to write it down. But any little distraction, a phone notification, someone calling your name, a new, more urgent thought can break that connection instantly. And just like that, the idea is gone.
This really highlights the central conflict perfectly. So on the left, you have the wandering mind, your dreamer. It's the source of originality, but its ideas are like unrefined ore. They're messy, they're chaotic. Then on the right, you have the focused mind, your director. It's essential for turning that ore into a finished product, but its very nature, focused, logical, critical, can actually suppress those random sparks coming from the dreamer. So a great idea is a successful pass from left to right. A lost idea? That's just a fumbled pass.
Okay, so we get the problem. We understand the neuroscience. And the really good news is we are not helpless in this beautiful, chaotic dance. We can become masters of the handover. This section is all about the practical, actionable strategies for building a system to turn those fleeting thoughts into concrete, valuable assets for your work. This is where we build the net to catch the butterflies.
The system is built on 4 really simple steps. Step 1, and listen, this is the most important one. Remove all friction. Your capture tool has to be easier to use than it is to lie to yourself and say, "Oh, I'll remember it later." You know that lie. Any tiny barrier, unlocking your phone, finding a pen, opening an app, can be enough to let the idea slip away. Step 2 is to choose your weapon, the tool that fits you and your life seamlessly. Step 3 is the golden rule. Capture instantly. The moment the gatekeeper flags an idea, your job is to externalize it. Get it out of your head and into the physical world immediately. And finally, step 4, review and connect. Because a pile of notes is just a mess. A system for reviewing those notes is where a project is born.
Now, when it comes to choosing your weapon, the options are endless, but the best tool is always the one that's with you and feels effortless. So let's talk about these. Voice memos are incredible for capturing raw, unfiltered thought. You can catch the specific phrasing of a line of dialogue or the emotional tone of an idea without having to translate it into text first. A dedicated pocket notebook and pen, well, that has a certain magic to it. The physical act of writing can slow you down and really help cement the idea in your mind. Digital apps like Notion or Evernote are powerhouses for organization. You can tag your ideas, link them together, and literally build a searchable second brain. A small whiteboard in your workspace is perfect for visual thinkers who just need to map things out. And hey, don't underestimate the power of simply sending an email or text to yourself. It's a zero-friction method that works every single time. The key is just to pick 1 or 2 and make them a true extension of your mind.
So let's bring this all home. I really want you to start thinking about idea capture, not as another chore on your to-do list, but as the single most fundamental skill you can develop as a writer or creator. I'm serious. It's more important than your typing speed or your grasp of grammar, because without an idea, there's nothing. There is just a blank page.
And this final insight from the expert blueprint just says it all. This isn't just a good habit. It is a critical skill. For any serious writer, artist, or creator, being able to reliably catch the output of your incredible creative mind is what separates the prolific from the perpetually frustrated. It is the bridge between the world of inspiration and the world of creation. You have to build that bridge.
So here's maybe the most important takeaway of all. Stop treating your ideas as disposable. They are the most valuable, precious resource you have. Each one is a seed. Now, most won't grow into anything, and that is totally okay. But some of them might become the most important work you ever do. You owe it to yourself and to your craft to give every single one of them a chance to be planted. So build a system that honors their immense value.
And I'm going to leave you with this thought. Right now, as you're listening to me, your default mode network is probably already starting to wander, making new connections based on what you've just heard. The next great idea isn't a matter of if, but when. It could be 5 minutes from now or 5 hours from now when you're doing something completely different. The only question is, when it floats by, will your net be ready?